So before you get off to all of the fireworks shows, drone shows that's going to be happening tonight on the 4th of July, I want to come in and break down exactly what's going on in our Hampton Roads real estate market for the month of June 2023. Man, can you believe that we're already into July and we are continuously looking to roll and keep you informed on what's really going on in our current real estate market across Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Suffolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Hampton, Virginia, and Newport News all together. So we're going to get directly into the stats and we're going to jump right off into it. And let's get started exactly what's going on in the market. And I'm going to break this down in a level of detail that's going to give you a lot more information. But let's just start here with median sales price across Virginia in the Hampton Roads area has now increased by 3% to $345,000 on the median sales price. And settled sales that we saw across Virginia in the Hampton Roads area for the month of June was about over 2,400 settled transactions. And these transactions lasted about 11 days on median days on the market, with about 1.2% going above list price on average. Now, we got the median sold price per square foot. You're looking at about $194 median price per square foot. New listings that we saw throughout the month of June was about 3,034 new listings come to the market, which is down about 5.4% across Hampton Roads in the last month over month. Now, the active inventory that we actually had available in the month of June was 4,306 active listings. That is up to about 3.5% from the month of May. And that leaves us with about a 1.8 months worth of supply of inventory across Hampton Roads as well, which is up about 8.3% across Hampton Roads. If you don't know who I am, my name is Craig Houston. I am with the Moving to Norfolk team. We love to bring you neighborhood tours and we love to make sure that you're informed and got a pulse of what's going on in the Hampton Roads market. Whether you're looking to move to Norfolk or any parts of the Hampton Roads area in 2 weeks or 120 days, we have you covered. Give us a shout, whether that's through email, whether you want to give us a phone call, shoot us a text, or even if you want to book a video call with us, we have all streams of availability for you to get to us in any type of way so we can help you make a strong move to Norfolk, Virginia and the surrounding community. So let's talk about exactly what's going on with the Hampton Roads market, where I think there's a lot of interesting details that we need to actually point out and actually discuss a bit here, because what you're going to see as I share my screen here, again, I'm going to get this queued up as I talk about this a bit here, is that the Hampton Roads market seems to still be doing very strong, as I may say, in my own opinion here. So the reason why I say that it may be doing quite strong is because when you're looking at this market right now in this marketplace, what we're starting to see is that the trend is still trending upward in sales price. Now, I actually released a video recently where the local media is now starting to pay attention to what's really going on over in Virginia Beach. And to me, what that means to me is that they're signaling that they're understanding that the inventory problem that we've been having for the last few months and pretty much during the pandemic has not eradicated itself yet. And why is that? Well, typically that's going to be because there's not enough new construction happening in the marketplace right now. And theoretically, I mean, when we saw the price of lumber go up, we've seen that the price of demand go up for housing go up. It's just that the builders cannot keep up due to supply constraints and the demand from the buyers in the market, which now with interest rates being so high, it's still making it to where inventory is a problem because there's not enough churning of inventory to actually happen right now as well. Some builders just can't sustain continuing to build houses and having them being empty and occupied because they're still paying the bank or whatever their loan process is to actually keep those loans available and that capital available. And they need home buyers to actually purchase these lots, these homes, to actually offload some of that capital to reinvigorate it, to put it in other areas as well too. So when we have all these things happening all at one time, it makes for a catastrophic event where we may think that homes are going to actually plummet in pricing, but really and truly it's starting to sustain. And what people I think really try to underestimate, as I continually talk about this a lot, is that our military presence in the Hampton Roads community helps hold this market up a lot more too, because the Marines, the sailors, the airmen, the Army, they can all take more advantage of this market, even at the higher interest rates. And so for people who underestimate the power of a VA loan, this is something that I think that you really want to take into consideration as we get into this marketplace a little bit more, because this marketplace is demanding, but we're going to continue to see the military presence that we have here in this community continue to help sustain prices. Now, does that really mean that prices can continue to trend upward like they are without seeing some type of relief to where affordability come into play? I don't really think that's the case. What I really think that we're going to see is that we're going to see a well-balanced affordable housing come into play, but then also see a well-balanced community of buyers come into play as well, to whether the interest rates are this high around 6.7 to 6.9%, or whether they're down at 5%. I think we will see more people in the marketplace, obviously at 5%. But with the level of homes that we're seeing on the market right now and the price points that we're seeing in the market right now, we're going to continue to see this thing be crazy around this marketplace, especially throughout the summer months, because like I said, we're still seeing people trying to settle, especially military presence during the PCS season, or a permanent change of station where they get military orders to actually move to the area and actually move into this community and actually get settled. So what we're seeing all that take place right now, I think we may start to see somewhat of a trend starting to show its head, where we may start to see a decline in more home sales going forward throughout the Labor Day period. Now, that to me is what we could probably start to see people who are looking for a deal or looking to see prices reel back just a bit, where they can actually get, some type of seller finance, well, not seller financing, but seller actually helping with paying closing costs throughout the marketplace, seeing things like that, and they start coming back into motivation, or seeing sellers help with interest buy downs. We can start seeing some of these things probably after Labor Day. But let's get into exactly what we're seeing in the marketplace right now. So we talked to you about what the median averages were that we saw throughout the Hampton Roads area. Now we're going to go back. I really want to dive into some of the data that you really want to know about, because averages to me are more important than median. And the reason why, because if you are anyone who pays attention to the median, we basically have prices on one end of the spectrum, low end of the spectrum, prices on the high end of the spectrum. And when we have prices on those spectrums, what they do for the median is they go directly into the middle, weed out everything else, and that's your price points. But what we want to talk about is just your averages, because what you're seeing in the marketplace is starting to be trend analysis here. And what we always like to talk to you about here on any market update, when you start to see the market updates, the data that we're pulling in is already historical data. This data is not ever present at the point in time when we're at in that marketplace, but it does give you a sense of what's been happening as a trend throughout the marketplace, as we start to look at the picture where we're at right now in the present and where it could typically take us to in the future. So let's start just talking about, let's look at the list price. The list price that we saw this month was at $397,469 on average. That's up 2.6% from the month of May, which was at $387,563. Now, we're still seeing that increase go up on average. So that means to me the average list price that we've seen in the marketplace across Hampton Roads was around almost $400,000. Okay. Now, when you think about that $400,000, roughly, I think that's about a mortgage payment of around somewhere between $2,400 to $2,500 right now in the marketplace. Play around with your mortgage calculators, kind of see where you'll be at with your interest rates based on your credit history, calculate for the insurance and calculate for the property taxes. And that'll kind of show you that you'll be around $2,400 to $2,500 in the marketplace right now on a $400,000 loan, if not more. As a matter of fact, we may actually have time at the end here to run through that, but we'll see what those numbers actually pan out to be when we talk about it here a little bit more. Now, the actual sold price average in the marketplace that we've seen was at $400,568, and that was above the previous months of $390,000, which is about 2.6% as well, too, in change that we saw for month over month. And now that leads us to see that there's about a 1% increase over list over sold ratio price that you're going to see. So when a house actually sells versus what it actually listed for, we're seeing the homeowners actually take in about 1% more than what they actually listed for on the open marketplace. Now, days on market has actually decreased here from about 4 days, from 26 days on average on being in the market to now seeing it around about 22 days on average. Now, I think that is important to discuss, because what I really want to make sure that you kind of get across the board is that we are seeing absolute frenzy still out here in the marketplace. And what I mean when I say a frenzy is that we're still seeing people actually running out in the marketplace to actually directly get themselves into a situation where they can actually get a home, because we're starting to see rent start to just be the same as what it was across the board when it comes to owning a mortgage. And as I put this mortgage calculator up, we're just going to run through the numbers a bit here. Okay, so we're going to actually pull a property that's actually on the market right now. That's around that 400,000 price point, and we're going to go in. Let's just say Norfolk. Okay, since that's where we actually at. I'm going to pull one real quick, so we can see where we're at in Norfolk right now for actual home and that price, and then we'll get the taxes for it, and then we'll go from there and actually show you exactly how much that may actually cost. So this one right here, I'm going to share my screen so you can actually see what I actually have on the board here. Well, I don't know why that's doing that, but let's see. We're going to stop that, and then we're going to pull this up here. Boom. Okay, here. All right, so what you got here is us pulling up the screen. So we're going to click this one on Seams Avenue in Commodore Park. Okay. So $400,000 home. This is a 4-bedroom, 3 full bath, 1,957 square feet, listed by Long and Foster. Okay. But this actually has $3,000 in actual taxes. Okay. So we're going to actually go on over here to the Google and use the mortgage calculator here and put that in. So 400,000, and we're going to say, what is the interest rate today? Let's look and see real quick. So I like to use Mortgage News Daily app for the actual mortgage prices to see where they're actually at for the rates for today. So right now, a 30-year fix is at 7.03%. Okay. 7.03% today. Wow. Okay. So 7.03. And let's see, that's on a 30-year fixed rate. Okay. So we're going to actually see what that monthly payment is, and we're going to include taxes and fees. And we're going to do, let's see, change the prices. So 400,000. Okay. And we're going to leave that at 5%. Okay. So 5% is 20,000. Okay. If you did a conventional loan, 30-year fixed, 7.03 interest rate with a credit score. Now we said them taxes was 3736, and let's just call homeowners insurance in Virginia around about $1,000. Okay, private mortgage insurance, and this home did not have a HOA. Okay, so right now, actually, I was totally off at 7% a monthly. So the actual average home that's for sale in Virginia at about $400,000 cost you about $3,100 in rent or in mortgage. Okay, about $3,100 in the mortgage payment. So that tells us that the marketplace is still hot. People are still purchasing, really and truly. And you can run through those numbers as many times as you want to kind of run your own data there. Now, the real thing here is if you had a VA loan, that you wouldn't even get that much relief as well. The VA 30-year is actually at 6.95, and the 30-year FHA is at 6.88. So not only would you have to have your savings of 5% if you did a conventional loan, but if you did an FHA at 3.5 and then went to a 6.88, let's see what that would look like if you went to a 6.88. So you would be at about 3249. Okay, so you would actually be a little bit more expensive here as well too, with those taxes, and that mortgage insurance being a little bit higher because of the interest rate, because how much you put down on it as well. So that is actually some to really think about as you go forward in this marketplace, is that we're still seeing people actually getting the affordability out of themselves to actually maintain their lifestyle or to actually increase what they actually want to do in the marketplace. So let's look at a little bit more here, and let's get into some details now of what's going on in each one of these cities that you may want to pay attention to. So let me pull back up my spreadsheet so we can talk about this a little bit more. Comment down below as I pull up the spreadsheet here. What do you think about paying about $3,000 in mortgage for the average home in the marketplace of Virginia around $400,000. If you're just not joining us, hey, my name is Craig Houston. I'm with the Moving in Norfolk team. We're here discussing with you the June 2023 Hampton Roads market update. And we just ran through the numbers on what a mortgage would look like, about the average list price of about $400,000. And we've seen homes in the June of 2023 sell on average about $400,568. And we ran through those numbers and actually showed what that price could look like actually in a mortgage payment in Norfolk, Virginia, by including the taxes and the homeowner's insurance. And we are still seeing that price be around about $3,177. Okay. So now if you look at my spreadsheet here, you have 4 of the 7 cities have declined in actual transactions month over month. You see Hampton, Virginia declined by 13.9%, Norfolk declined by 3.3%, Portsmouth declined by 8.6%, and Virginia Beach declined by 10.4%. Now, why is that important to note? Well, that means that some of these communities are starting to see action happen to where price and affordability may just be out of the question here. Now, in Suffolk, we're seeing 3.4% increase in transactions. Newport News, we had 11.7% increase in transactions. And Chesapeake, we saw a 5% increase in transactions across the marketplace. Remember, we had a 1.3% decline in settled transactions in Hampton Road overall. Now, so with that, let's talk about what did we really stood out to us in this marketplace this month. 6.7% change in the sold prices. Okay. In previous month in Virginia Beach, we saw sales actually be around $467,000 in Virginia Beach, and that rose to almost $500,000 on average in Virginia Beach this month. Now, that is incredible to me, and you're starting to see that homeowners in Virginia Beach that was selling their homes was getting at least on average about 2% more for their home than they was actually asking for on the open market. And to close those transactions, they was receiving about 2% more. What does that really signal to me? That there are still multiple offers situations probably happening in Virginia Beach on a more steady basis than we would even imagine, because the demand to be at Virginia Beach is still there. As you can tell, we saw a decline of 3 days down to of 17 days now on average that a home sits in Virginia Beach versus the 20 that it was in 2023 of May. Now, what we also seen was 236 townhomes sold, or attached residential properties sold in Virginia Beach as well. This is by far the most of any one of the 7 cities that we've seen, with also Chesapeake leading the way with 293 detached single family homes actually being sold, and Virginia Beach being behind them by 1 with 292 detached single family homes. So we're seeing a lot of transactions still going around the board here. But what's also amazing to me is that we're seeing a 5.4% change in sold price over in Virginia Beach as well. Not in Virginia Beach, I'm sorry, in Norfolk, Virginia as well too, where the sold price rose from $335,000 to $353,000. That's important to note as well, because even in the places where people are now starting to, probably give up on the opportunities of actually moving to Virginia Beach, and they're starting to look to move into other cities within the 7 cities that makes reasonable sense for them if they're making commutes back to Norfolk, back to Virginia Beach, or even Chesapeake in certain areas and pockets where they may be living. We're still seeing movement in these other areas, and now we're starting to see where maybe they're starting to drift into the other communities, and that's starting to spill over a bit. So where that money may not extend you enough in Virginia Beach for what you're actually looking for from your average home in Virginia Beach, what we may be seeing now is that is actually spilling over into other communities where that money may go a little bit longer and get you a more ideal property for your family or for just yourself or whatnot. And we're seeing that play out a little bit more as well too. Now, why would everyone be in such a reactionary moment to actually move to these other areas? Like, I mean, if you're buying something that makes sense to where you can afford the mortgage around $2,000, $1,800 or so, moving into these other areas where your money goes a little bit longer, getting you a little bit more affordability, it's push you right in the comparison with the rent that's going on in those communities as well too. If you have not seen any of our neighborhood tour videos that we have done recently, we talk about the average rent in a lot of these communities, around $1,900 is a substantial amount of money to be renting where you could be affording a home. And we're starting to see a lot of people are now paying attention to these scenarios. And this is what we always urge you: when there's the time, there's a moment when you're thinking about actually, making that move to being being a homeowner in Norfolk or in one of the 7 cities, or even in just relocating to the area, definitely reach out to us so that way we can kind of give you the lay of the land, so that way you can understand exactly what it is that's going on out here in this marketplace, and we can continue to drive that conversation for you so that you are fully aware of what's happening in this marketplace. I think that's the most important thing that I can always stress here, is that understanding what's going on in the marketplace is the best dynamic that you can actually have at any point in time. Okay, so let's just talk about what are we actually really seeing right now. I still believe that we're still in this market situations where there's a multiple offer situation, when it's a reasonable home that people really want. Like, just for instance, we just had a listing that came up on the market here in our marketplace that I'm actually surprised about. It was over $500,000, and it was multiple offer situation, and they still was using escalation clauses. This one did not have an appraisal guarantee, but I was still surprised that there was a multiple offer situation on a $500,000 house in this community, and it still made a lot of contentions that we had to go through just to see what the actual deal was going to actually work out to be. Now, when we see things like that, that lets us know that there's an opportunity in this marketplace for buyers, and sellers have to understand, if they're really thinking about selling their home, you probably want to get off the fence as this movement continues to happen in the marketplace, because this could switch at a flip of a dime here. Right now, the inventory is advantageous to the sellers, and what we're seeing is that it's not being a situation right now where that's not playing out for the sellers. Right now, the sellers are still in control, because overall we got about a 2.6 month worth of inventory across Hampton Roads, but most of these cities have only about one. Well, I'm sorry, I take that back. It's only 1.8 months worth of inventory across Hampton Roads. Some of these cities actually have over 2 months worth of inventory, but the major cities where everyone wants to move to has less than 2 months worth of inventory. And with that, that's going to make it hot. That's going to make it contentious. And if we ever get some type of a break on interest rates, we're going to see more buyers flood the market. And what's going to happen is we're going to see these homes have so much more demand pent up on them, people trying to get into them at reasonable rates, that we're still going to have a buyer frenzy in this market. That's my belief here. But I do see that there may be a little bit of an opportunity now with just the trends that we're paying attention to. We have stats starting to decline on actual settled transactions. We're seeing some of changes in sold price listings actually starting to decrease a bit here, like in Hampton and Portsmouth and Newport News overall on averages. Now, if you take those median price points, the only median price point that we've seen a decline in totally across the 7 cities was Newport News. It only declined about 1%, while everyone else continued to increase on a median day basis of sale prices. But what I want you to understand by that is we are still in a market where, on a case-by-case basis, there's going to be a lot of demand, and in certain cases, there's not going to be a lot of demand. So it just depends on the situation. It depends on the scenario. But once again, I don't want to not stress enough that we are here to assist you in any way about it. But this is what I need you to do. If you found value in this content, go ahead and hit that like button. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and continue to ring that notification bell, and share this Hampton Roads market update with any and everyone that you know who may be moving to the marketplace sooner than later, whether that's in 2 weeks or 120 days. But here's the comment of the day, and here's what I actually have a question of the day as well too. With this marketplace being just as hot as it has been for the last 4 to 5 months, what is your opinion on what's going to happen in July of 2023 in the Hampton Roads real estate market update? Definitely leave us with a comment down below, so when we actually come back to the marketplace next week with our weekly updates, we'll answer your questions live on another live stream. We'll catch you in the next video. Y'all stay safe. Peace.